Okay, how did you do on your own putting together this simple Flexbox layout? And again, I got to stress, this is simple. We could have pushed this much, much further, but I didn't want to hit you with too much here. It's really about nailing down the fundamentals before we start going wild here. So let me show you exactly how I pulled this off. Give me just a second here. I'm going to hide my browser. All the way down inside the project files folder, you'll find exercise finish. And that'll give you the complete code, which I have opened up here inside my coding application. So let me show you exactly how I pieced all of this together. Let's start with the HTML. Inside the HTML, as you can see, we have a parent container. And the parent ID, I stuck with all the same naming conventions, by the way, that we've used throughout the entire course, just for simplicity here. So our parent ID selector here, this guy up here inside of our CSS, he's our parent flex container, as demonstrated by display flex. Okay, so that guy is holding our 3 child elements, and the child elements are just simple divs with simple class rules. Class child 1, 2, and 3. No big deal. And then inside the CSS, you can see the corresponding class rules for the 3 child elements. We've got backgrounds on them so we can see them. And then we have some flexing here. We've got flex grow of 1 and 1. That's for our outermost or our left hand and right hand child items, child 1 and child 3. They've got flex grow of 1 each. And then a flex shrink of 5 each. Now again, yours doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. Just something generally similar is perfectly fine. And then a flex basis or a starting point of 200 pixels in width for each. Okay? Now, our center child item, child 2, this main content area here, he's just a little bit different. He's a little bit larger when he's growing. And he's set to 1 when he's shrinking, and his basis is set to 600 pixels. Okay, so that's how I'm getting this behavior as I expand and contract the layout. Okay, and again, I have to stress this. You don't have to use the exact same code that I have here, just so long as you have something generally or approximately the same is perfectly fine. Now, I thought what I would do here is, again, it's a very simple example, but I thought it would be fun to push it just a little bit further. Let's take what we have here and make it just a little bit more real world. We should add on a header and footer for our layout. And I'm going to do that with you right now. So this is going to be inside of our body element or our body container. Okay, right at the very top of our body is where I'm going to go and set up my header. And I'm just going to use an HTML header element like so. And I'll type in header like this. And maybe in our layout, this is going to wind up holding some kind of a navigation bar or something like this. Okay, so a header, very simply. And then down towards the bottom, just before the body closes out, I'll go and stick in a footer here. So again, just using an HTML footer element, no big deal here. Okay. And again, the footer might wind up holding some additional links, some social media links, things like this. Okay, but it's all about setting up these main building blocks first. Now we're going to need some CSS to control the header and the footer. Okay, so I want to stress here, though, before we go and do this, that both the header and the footer are appearing outside of the parent flex container. Okay, so they're really not going to interact at all with our flex items, our flex container, and so on. Okay, and then somewhere inside my list of rules, doesn't really matter where, up towards the top or down towards the bottom, doesn't really matter. I'm going to type in header, comma, space, footer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build these guys all in one shot, all at once here. So both for the header and for the footer, all I want to do is set some kind of a height. Maybe I'll go with a height of 100 pixels like this. And then maybe some kind of, again, temporary background color that we want to use, maybe a sky blue or something like this. Okay, go ahead and save up your work and head back to your browser and refresh. And now we have a header running across the top of our layout and a footer running across, of course, the bottom of the layout. And the whole shebang is responsive, which is great. So we could use a layout like this almost as like a template or a very rough, very raw structure to get ourselves started with an actual layout. Okay, So you may want to now take a few moments and compare what you wound up getting on your side with the code that I have here.